Welcome back. This week we're talking about the state of affordable housing in the Triangle. CAHEC is an organization at the forefront of addressing this topic. Here to discuss more about affordable housing and tell us about CAHEC's mission is Dana Boole, President and CEO of CAHEC. And Dana, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
What is CAHEC?
So CAHEC was created back in '92 to further the financing of affordable housing throughout the Carolinas. But really the precursor to that occurred back in the early '80s when the federal government finally said, we need a more cost-effective manner to build and manage affordable housing. And that really led into the creation of the low-income housing tax credit back in the mid-1980s as part of overall tax reform under the Reagan administration. So a federal tax credit is a dollar-for-dollar reduction in one's taxable income. As it relates to affordable housing, it's really geared as an impetus for institutions, primarily banks and other corporations, to invest equity capital and debt into affordable housing. And when you compare it to, say, market rate affordable housing, the premise is roughly the same. Both types of projects are financed with equity and debt. But the difference on affordable multifamily is that we have this additional source of equity through the sale of low-income housing tax credits. So let's say you're a developer and you receive an allocation of credits from North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. You will come to an organization like CAHEC and sell us those credits. In turn, we will provide you equity. You'll take that equity, you'll effectively buy down your debt. That cost savings on the debt gets passed on to the residents in the form of lower rents. That's what allows it to be affordable.
Well, that's fascinating. Would this be a public-private type of enterprise? It almost sounds like it is, where the public part of it is the tax credit is driving this.
Absolutely. And that's a very good point because it's really historically been one of the most effective public-private partnerships that the federal government has ever launched. And investors get a return, but they're also taking on risk because these developments have to qualify under the federal tax code to be affordable to residents on an ongoing basis.
Well, you said it's effective. How effective is it compared to other models that have been out there over the years?
Sure. When we look at the affordable housing environment, back in 1986, the stock of affordable housing was not always safe. It was not always clean. We look at it today and we have safety and affordability that is really at some of the best points it's ever been in our history. It doesn't mean we're necessarily always keeping up with the demand, but the safety and quality is there.
And why is there that difference? Is it because of forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but in the past, it was basically, affordable housing was built by the government in a lot of ways, wasn't it? And now that you have this private aspect to things, is that one of the driving differences between both models? I don't know if it's the ownership of it or what it might be, but is that the difference? Why the change?
And the private sector can do it more cost effectively.
Yeah.
They can do it faster, more efficient, and that in and of itself has made it an effective program.
Now, as we look at affordable housing in our area, I mean, and now we're coming out of a great recession. Of course, you had an overabundance of homes. You don't have that anymore, and rent, everything is going up. The need, how quickly can we address the need with this kind of a program? And who decides, for instance, where affordable housing is going to go, not going to go, and how does that play with the developers?
Sure. So each state, North Carolina no different, has a housing finance agency. And each year that agency comes out with their plan. And that plan will say, we want to focus on seniors this year, or families, have a greater concentration in rural markets or urban markets. Developers will then go through an application process, and based on scoring, they can be allocated these credits. So now they've received an allocation of credits. They come to organizations such as CAHEC and say, buy these federal credits from us. So we will purchase those credits on behalf of our investors, and in turn give them equity capital. We're monetizing that investment, which they now use as an additional source towards their project, which helps to lower those mortgage costs. And in turn, we're passing that benefit on to the residents as it relates to lower rent.
What else do we need to do in order to attack this need for affordable housing, do you think?
Tax cuts occurred this past December, and part of that was the elimination of a lot of tax credit programs. But we're very happy that community investment programs, low-income housing, community revitalization, historic credits were preserved. That was a big victory, but it didn't come easy. We had been working for 20 years for this big show, and fortunately it turned out well. But there's still a lot of work to be done. We have preservation of certain programs, expansion of other programs, because this need is not going away. It continues. For example, in Wake County, area median income is approximately $72,000 a year. Residents that qualify for low-income housing cannot make more than 60% of area median income. So in Raleigh, that would be roughly $43,000 a year. These are families that are working really hard. They're just not making a lot of money.
Right.
And they need an opportunity, and this is what we can provide.
Well, Dana, don't go anywhere. We got you for another segment. I'm glad we do. You stick around, too, because when we come back, we're going to go into more depth about affordable housing with Dana.